Vanessa Demopoulos and Kathryn Paprocki in the women's strawweight division. Now, for this fight, it's going to be very, very even. Kathryn Paprocki with 3 wins and 1 loss. Only 1 loss to Emily Ducote by 3rd round rear naked choke submission. Before that, a lot of decision wins. A lot of those wins were decisions. And then she had a really good win over Tiani Valley by 3rd round rear naked choke submission. I mean, that fight was an absolute banger. Fight of the night for sure. Absolute war. I mean, the striking was really, really good. The grappling, the wrestling. I mean, that fight was just an absolute banger. But for this fight, with Kathryn Paprocki having a 2-inch height advantage and a 3-inch reach advantage, probably going to have the kicking advantage as well. I assume she's probably going to want to get the fight at range, kick the outside of Vanessa Demopoulos' calf, just leg kick, body kick, head kick, all the kicks at range on Vanessa Demopoulos, just to keep her on the outside so she doesn't really pressure too much. Because the main way I do see Vanessa Demopoulos winning in the striking would be to do a lot of pressure, close that distance, just pressure and volume. And if Kathryn Paprocki can find a way to keep the fight at range and use those kicks, that'd be the best way she could win on the feet. But Vanessa Demopoulos closed that distance, and we saw in the last fight with Cynthia Arcio, a really solid striker right there. She knocked her out in the first round. I mean, that was a really, really solid knockout right there. But yeah, Cynthia Arcio has 3 wins by knockout, and she knocked her out in 37 seconds, came forward with a lot of big hooks, and that's exactly what I think she needs to do against a girl like Kathryn Paprocki, is come forward with a lot of big shots, close the distance, clinch up, and look to wrestle and grapple, because in my opinion, I do think Vanessa Demopoulos is going to be the stronger fighter, a little bit of the bigger fighter, not in terms of height or reach, but the bigger, stronger fighter, and the girl that has the better wrestling and the better grappling. So in this fight, if Vanessa Demopoulos is gonna win, it needs to be a heavy grappling in a wrestling game, or on the feet, just have a lot of pressure and a lot of volume. That's why it is a super close fight. I do not agree with this. Yeah, there's only 41 votes in, 17% going Paprocki, 83% going Demopoulos. In my opinion, it's a 50-50 fight, because if Kathryn Paprocki can keep the fight at range and defend the takedowns on Vanessa Demopoulos, I think she's going to win. But in my opinion, the reason I am very slightly leaning Vanessa Demopoulos is because of the last fight. I mean, she showed really good pressure, really good power, and if she can use that power to scare Kathryn to go backwards and get her back to the cage, she can come forward, land a few shots, clinch up, and have that wrestling and grappling advantage, and maybe use a couple of takedowns, a little bit of ground upon here and there as well. So I don't know how much the fight is going to be wrestling and grappling, but I do think if there is any, Vanessa Demopoulos will have the advantage. And with the pressure on the feet, just coming forward with those big shots, I think that does give her a very, very slight edge. So my prediction right here with Vanessa Demopoulos and Kathryn Paprocki is going to be a Vanessa Demopoulos decision winner right there. Super close fight. I'm going to go 29-28. I think it's going to be a very 50-50. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the betting odds have Vanessa Demopoulos as like a minus 200 or something like that, just because she is a former champion. And the last fight, she looked really, really good. But in my opinion, it's more like a minus 135 Vanessa Demopoulos, plus 110 Kathryn, plus 115, somewhere around the range. But a really, really close fight right there in the women's strawweight division. But my prediction of Vanessa Demopoulos by a 29-28 decision. Really good fight in the women's strawweight division.